Welcome back to the 19th hole. We are in the final stages of our run here on reviewing Full Swing. Full Swing episode 7, Golf is Hard. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And as always, I am going to be bringing back my esteemed colleagues of the review so far to give us a inside look of a bunch of rookies running around before they're even real names. So with that, we're going to bring Barbara into the house. Always keeping us on track and keeping the guys, moving along. The total mastermind of Full Swing reviews, starting his point of views out on Instagram. Greg in-house from Pinehurst 6. Loving what he's doing in his channel. Barbara told me we're going to throw all of our Instagrams in here, so make sure you see it right now. This is where, hey, guys, throw our Instagrams in here. And the guy who doesn't know if he has one or not, we're making up one for him. Kendall in the house as well. Last week was a thrill ride. We talked a lot about a golfer that everyone has now become a fan favorite. Everyone's home fan favorites. Tony Finau. Well, this episode, Golf is Hard, gives you a behind the scene looks on rookies. Rookies, before they've even made it, before they're really namesake. And this episode also plays that I found interesting in this one. It was probably one of the only things I found interesting in this episode was the reverse look of the PGA Championship, perspective. But before I just run away with this, Barbara.
Hello. Here we go, guys. Thank you for coming again. This is so fun and another episode of Full Swing. So today's episode, Golf is Hard, we are following the rookies. And we also have the young Chilean star Joaquin Mieman on board as well, even though the episode is not necessarily about him. But he plays a really big role in this episode because he and Nito grew up together. I have to say, for me personally, this wasn't my favorite episode. I wasn't compelled, but it was interesting to watch golfers before they're really known and before they have all the accolades and they're really just getting started. So I want to throw it out to you, Greg. We'll start with you. What were your overall thoughts on this episode?
I loved the episode. I thought it was a great dive into, two rookies. I thought it was very interesting that Mito, as a rookie, has a private chef. I don't know how much money he made before he got on tour, but apparently enough. But I do think it's cool, him basically living with all the Chilean guys week in, week out, them saying that that's their family, away from family. Really cool atmosphere that they've built for themselves. And, of course, Sahith Theegala, he's just a dude, and we'll talk about him a lot, I'm sure, as well.
I'm so impressed you're Chilean.
So, Greg, you liked the perspective of the pros sharing the house, like kind of pooling it all together, getting a private chef?
Yeah, I thought that was cool. The way they explained it, where it was like, yeah, we all grew up together and now we're just like kind of doing this. And I mean, we've already talked about the expenses of traveling and all that good stuff. You're splitting it between 4 dudes and you've known them your entire life. Like, it's just going to make life easier.
And here's the thing is, I will add that it is cultural to do something like that because being Latin myself, I know that's a shocker, but being Latin myself, I grew up in a family where our grandparents lived with us and we all lived together. And so it's very, very Latin to do something like that and all stay in the house together and eat together and do the whole thing. I thought that was actually really cool to show that kind of like cultural aspect of these two golfers with whoever else was in the house with them.
Yeah, David probably thought it was more of a distraction than anything, but
you know what? It was kind of frat house ask. It came off to me as what I see it. I make sense, from, hey, if you're not winning anything, pool your resources and put it together. That was even like, the one kid who had his laundry in a box, and everything that was like it was cracking me up, because I'm like, we couldn't edit this piece out better for him. We're just gonna we're just gonna go with that. He's running around his laundry in a box, and what found it more interesting to me is that he obviously doesn't know how to do laundry. He had no separation of colors and whites, and my OCD almost like came out of my skin watching him just dump this box load of clothes into the washer. And I'm sitting here going, is that what it takes? I need to stop being so OCD and get out on the range here and just throw it all in one wash at once. Yeah, so I agree. You're right, Greg. It was a distraction. It drove me nuts.
And you, Kendall?
I mean, I you think about like Spieth and Thomas, like Fowler, they all share houses too. Like they all make a ton of money. So they travel together to do all that stuff. So I'm not saying they do it every time, but yeah, I thought that was cool. Like they're one tight family. Thagala with the box of clothes, like I was fine with that. I mean, I know how to do laundry, but I just throw it all in at once too, with exception to whites, because I don't care. So I wash it on cold, it comes out, nothing bleeds. It's fine.
David's having major issues right now.
He's having a panic attack.
There's a difference, though. There's a major difference there. In this episode, those guys were coming back after a round. They were like, oh my God, this is, like a major, thing. And they have the chef, they're pooling their funds. They were hurting. Jordan and those guys sharing a house, it's because they're partying on the golf course barefoot, running around, not playing a tournament. Totally different scenario.
I don't think they're hurting.
They do that for tournaments too.
Those are like steaks, and they have a chef. Like they're not hurting that bad. And let's be honest, like Neiman wasn't living there with them because he wouldn't have knocked on the door if he was. So.
I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah. Oh, actually, two of them knocked.
Good catch. But,
yeah. They did say they travel together though, so I don't know. I read that as they all were staying together. Maybe not for every tournament, but I think they do travel a lot together. That group.
I think a lot of groups actually travel, or at least fly together, or drive, or whatever the case. I mean, I remember reading and hearing all those stories with Fowler and Spieth, and they were like the party group, right? Whether like sometimes they take a van or RV, I guess, and they have someone drive them. They'd all be on their RV, and then they would take a private plane together. So
where are you getting your stories from?
I know. He's got like an inside scoop to all these.
I'll never tell.
I've heard interviews where
let's talk about as far as the episode is concerned. Let's talk about Thigala. Okay, let's talk about he's tied for the lead on the 17th tee, and then drove it into the water. I mean, the double bogey took him out. But what was really amazing was the emotion. He was so emotional, and his father was just so beautiful with him. Like, tell me what your thoughts were of that whole moment when his father's like, I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of you, no matter what.
So this is going to sound extremely, just kind of like, David's a dick. I remember the tournament. I remember him making that shot, but because I didn't know who he was, I was like, whatever, go cry it off in the corner, dude. Like, it was like, didn't care. Then you get to this episode, and then you actually learn a little bit about him. Then it's like, oh man, I'm a prick. Like, I totally get the sob story and everything at the end now. Like, oh my goodness. But when you're watching it and you have no info, you take the total male approach. Like, whatever, I wouldn't hit it in the water. Like it's, cry about it. You just lost you a bunch of money, but it's easy being a Monday morning quarterback sitting on the couch. So
I have a different view of that. I actually thought that he was very unlucky with that drive. I've seen numerous balls stop in the same spot his kept going that should have went in 100% of the time. And his was like it could or it couldn't, and it did. So, at least in my view. And then on the flip side of that, I didn't get the same feeling from his dad. I love the emotion from Thagala, but I felt like his dad, to me, felt like his son was entitled to be winning this tournament, or he always felt like his son should have been the winner already. Or, like, granted, he handled his son fine, but the way he came across to me was like he should be winning. He's a winner already. You guys need to understand, my son's a winner. My son's the best. That's how I took his dad.
Does this say what's his name? Ball? The guy thinks his sons are the next Michael Jordans.
Yeah, and that's like he would be the parent at a any sporting event, whether it be football or hockey or baseball. That would be like, my kid's the best. Why is he on the bench?
And so, but isn't that the dad's job to believe that and to think that about his kid?
I mean, it's a dad's job to encourage the kid to be the best he can be. But I mean, I see it all the time. My son plays travel hockey and D1 hockey, and you see all these parents that are like, they want their kids to go to the NHL, and I'm like, the reality is, I want them to play college hockey.
Right.
Like, let's get there, right? Like, because none of these kids are good enough. Like, in my mind, now could they be in a few years, right? You never know, but yeah. So
that is what Full Swing has showed us in a lot of these occasions. When you start to see this be before they were known names and they're $1.25 wet, and you're like, now this guy's a pro golfer. What? You don't know when the sprout or the turn, or that tenacity is finally going to push you across, the finish line.
How about you, Greg? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I loved the emotion from Sahith. I mean, he's a rookie. He made close to $1 million, if not $1 million, because the purse for the Waste Management Open is ridiculous. Even if he didn't win, he made his egg. He's good to go for the year, if not more than that. And he was just distraught having lost. And like Kendall was saying, I think he hit a really good drive. I mean, it rolled across the green and just ended up not stopping. So yeah, life is like golf. Sometimes you get bad breaks from good shots. So I loved the emotion because it shows that he doesn't really care about the money aspect. He cares about winning. And I loved seeing that in athletes that I like watching. So yeah, I think Sahith came off very well. I didn't really get the same vibe from the dad that Kendall did. I do think that golf gets a pass with that kind of stuff, though. I think that with team sports, when parents are like that, it comes off a lot worse than when in individual sports, when parents come off like that. Individual sports, it's like, yeah, but my son's going to win eventually. It's like, yeah, he probably is, and that just seems like he's confident in his son's ability.
I completely agree with you. Okay, now Mito, looking at Mito and getting to know him, because we are introduced to him in the pilot episode, because he really, JT came up and, Mito gave it away, right?
Gave it away.
Gave it away. Right. And so now we're getting to know him and his story. Do you have different feelings for him? Do you have the same feelings? Do you have any feelings? What are your thoughts on Mito?
Where would he be if he didn't stop?
Yeah, I need more information on that.
Yeah, like why did he give it up for 4 or 5 years or whatever it was that he gave it up? Like, that's what I want to know. I want more of Mito. Like, yeah. I like his demeanor. I don't like Neiman at all. Like, Neiman could never be on an episode again. I didn't like him on the PGA Tour. I don't like him on the show. But Mito, on the other hand, is great. Like, he comes across as a great guy, family guy. He's got a wife, super chill, has a personal chef, right? So, hey, but why did he go away? Why did he go away for, Neiman looked up to him. That was his idol. So it's crazy. It's crazy to think that they flipped. And I mean, hopefully he has the confidence now, right? So
clearly there's a story there that we don't know. And maybe we'll find out in a later episode, season 2, maybe. I don't know. But there's a story.
I think to Kendall's point there, I mean, that 4-year gap or whatever, then it's the group that you play with can drive you. I think he missed playing with his, his friends. You see that. That's the story they play with all that, and him kind of having that feeling like, oh, I'm older, I should be further. But again, you stepped away for a while, I mean, heck, Jordan even lost the championship. He took, the year off to play baseball. So, I mean, you got to come back. It's, there's rust there to be undone. I'm kind of stuck on the reverse look at the PGA Championship with this one. This one really, for me, watching that whole 18, and when you then look at the math of that hole, it shocked me. I had to go back and do the math like 3 or 4 times. That was a $1.9 million swing on hole 18. I want to know the thought process. That's the moment behind the scene that whoever that reporter was that, quickly did that math and goes, how does $1.9 million loss feel to you today? Like nowhere do you see that. And that is what I walked away with going, I hurt for you, man. That hurts so bad. I'm like, it just all you had to do was par. And that hole was such a destruction. It was a $2 million swing.
So, David, do you actually think he's thinking about the $2 million at that point? I don't think if he realizes it. He's just thinking, I want to win the event. And then after the tee shot, he's thinking, I just threw it away. But he really didn't. Like, that's where I think he messed up, was after the tee shot when he said he fucked up and I threw it away. His mind frame should have been, okay, let's get up and down, right? Like, that's the difference of a rookie to someone that's been there before.
Sure.
How do I get up and down? And so I don't think he was thinking about $2 million. Like, we could think about that, right? Like,
so you really think that no player on the tour, you're striving this whole time to play for a paycheck, you're not thinking about the money, a putt will have? The result?
No, I mean, as a rookie, I think he's thinking, I'm making a bunch of money no matter how bad I blow this hole up. I mean, if he's thinking that at all.
Not when you're going wire to wire for 3 days. No.
Do you really think that they're thinking about the money rather than just winning? Like that I do a 3 putt. It was like, oh, well, that, like, they're calculating how much money they just lost? Potentially?
I don't think he was.
I think some do. I don't think all. I think some do. I don't think all do that, because you could tell some people sincerely are out there to win. Right?
Like Colin from the last episode, he might.
Phil Mickelson definitely counts his putts.
100%. I mean, here's a perfect example. If you really, really look at it, Tiger, he plays to win. Right? He's won a fortune and everything out there, but he still strives. He could have walked away with this game years ago. Right?
David, can I ask you a question? Are you a Tiger fan?
Huge Tiger fan. Huge Tiger fan. I'm texting him right now.
Really? I didn't pick up on that in every episode.
There's a theme here with David. Tiger, yes. Jordan. Like he waits till they're famous and have accomplished, and he goes, okay, I'll just jump on the bandwagon.
Whoa. No. I was born and raised in Chicago, baby. I was Jordan from his signing. Don't be careful. Careful. There's no bandwagon there. Tiger did, I could say easily, he was the golfer that got me into golf. He's the one I emulated and followed and wanted to, hey, I want to be like, Tiger. But no, like I say, I have fans, and I'd be the first to say, I watch golf for Tiger Woods. So some of these tournaments, I didn't even watch them because Tiger wasn't playing.
So you said you're Chicago through and through. So the best way to tell that is, are you White Sox or Cubs?
I'm White Sox all day long.
All right, so you are Chicago.
White Sox. Baby. Frank
Cubs is not true Chicago.
And I don't even like baseball.
Wait. So Cubs is not really Chicago?
No, like people from Chicago. They are, but people from Chicago, like originally from Chicago, the old schools, if you say Cubs, you're not true Chicago. Like that's the thing there. Like I don't know why. Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy.
I didn't know that. But I think David, I don't ever call you Dave. I think David, it's really telling that Tiger got you in and you're such a big Tiger fan, because I think for you, like, Tiger was the first person who looked like you, right?
Yeah.
And it was like that. And as an, in Hollywood, we always look to that. It's like, oh, wow. Like, a bunch of people who this year we had a lot of diversity. We had a lot of Asians win. So Asians are like, oh my God, this is possible for me because I see myself. Right. Is that something that played into it for you?
Yes, definitely. Because even in the Finau story line, I thought it was interesting. How many of you notice on hat, like, oh, you recognize them so quick. They take their hat off, and all of a sudden you have like a double take, and you're like, shit, I didn't realize that's what Tony Finau looked like with a hat off. And it was just like this kind of a different swing. I'm like, all right, you're not as fugly as you look with the hat on. Like you you're actually a pretty decent dude. All right, I see where you're going with this. So yes, I think it plays. Everyone wants to see some sort of person you can look in front and go, oh, they did it, I could do it too.
Right.
And I think that in every sport, has had that strive. I mean, look at it. I mean, you can look at this just by people's backgrounds. One of the most loved to be hated golfers is Garcia, right? But if you go to Spain, you go to what? Dare you speak of his name in a bad fashion? Like, you won't get away with that. So it's definitely seen in all accords, all sports. That's where fans are built.
Right. And the same goes with Hollywood. So I mean, it is absolutely the same. Greg, you're very quiet. What's going on?
Am I? I think I've been talking a lot.
Are you drinking too much on this episode?
No, I'm good.
You need to drink more.
So what? Chime in, Greg, because you said you really like this episode. What highlights do you have for yourself in this episode?
Well, so I don't know. I think I like how they just showed that the family aspect of Mita Pereira with Joaquin, and I think it was Sebastian Munoz that was with him. I forget the name of the third golfer. I do think it was interesting that Liv went and took all of them. So the whole family, they were like, hey, you guys travel together on Liv. It was very calculated, I think, by them, and it worked out. I like that the kids were getting all the golfers to say Mike Oxlong, and none of them caught on to it. That was hilarious. And I don't know. I really liked Sahith's story. I loved seeing the passion he has for the game. I think it was just a really cool, highlight of two guys that we probably wouldn't really think too much of. And I loved just the foreshadowing of Mito's wife walking the course on Thursday, I think it was, and getting to 18 and going, oh my gosh, this hole is so hard. Like, I hate this hole. Mm-hmm. And then goes to Sunday. And I mean, we've seen that hole in multiple episodes. We saw when JT and Justin were playing, or JT and Jordan were playing their cash game. Somebody hit a drive into that creek. We saw it obviously with the JT episode. And now again, where it's like, that is a ridiculously hard tee shot. And Mito picked the worst possible time to forget how to swing a golf club. I mean, that is the craziest follow through I've ever seen on the PGA Tour. And he just happened to do it on the 72nd hole of a major championship that he was going to win.
It's because he was talking to the professor and one of his isms and the 800 different shots he pulls out of his bag.
No, I actually just say he's like me, and he got to the top and realized he was in a really bad spot, but isn't good enough to stop. So he was trying to correct it with his hands. That's what it looks like. I know that swing very well.
I was going to ask, does this, as Duffers, does this really play into how you play? Like he's on the 72nd hole, and that happened. That can happen to any Duffer on any day, let alone someone on the PGA.
Any sport. Any given Sunday, any given, time at bat, whether you're on the free throw line, with point whatever seconds left. It's March Madness. We already have seen people's brackets get destroyed. So it's any given Sunday.
Okay, so let's wrap up this episode, the rookie episode. We're in the home stretch. What overall thoughts about so far the series? We're on episode 7. We have one more to go. Was the rookie episode everything you wanted it to be? I mean, not everybody loved the rookie episode. So
and for me, I'm still at 1.9 million. That's just that's what I took away from this episode. The heartbreak was unreal for me in that one. There, it was just like, I
will say, I don't think the winners care about the money. I don't think they calculate the money. I think maybe dudes that are grinding out cuts, they're thinking about how much they're going to take home. Mm-hmm. I don't think the winners are doing that. Stevie Williams said that Tiger never even knew how much any purse was for any tournament. So I don't know. That's the gold standard, right? That's right. What every golfer should do.
It's who wants to win. Everything else will come with that. It's who wants to win.
And to your point, I actually think like when going back to Finau, when he was trying to make the Saturday at the Open, that was about money. He just took a trip. Like, I have to make the cut, right? So I think different golfers, different things. At least to make the cut, they're thinking about it. Once they get in contention, I don't think they're thinking about first or second place. Like at that point, the money's so good. Top 10, you're making good money.
Yeah, I mean, it harkens back to Ian Poulter when he went and he didn't make the cut, and he was like, I did all of that, I spent all that money, and I didn't make any money.
Yeah.
Like
still taking private jets to get there, though. So I think he could have cut costs.
We're not feeling so bad for him. We're not necessarily feeling bad for him, but think about it. He put all that money out, and he did not make any money, and he was away from his family. So, going back to why he picked Liv makes sense for him.
100%.
So, thank you, gentlemen. This was a great one. Golf is hard. As we all know, when we all go out and play golf is hard. And so thank you for joining. Again, if you're not watching Full Swing, you need to start watching it. And if you are watching, comment below and let us know your thoughts. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? And are you also worried about how much money he lost on those putts? Because David is concerned. So make sure you subscribe and follow us, and we will see you next week for our last episode.
I don't run the Rory episode.
The Rory episode.
It gets thick. I can't wait for next week.
Yes, next week's going to be exciting. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you next week, and we'll see you next week as well here at the 19th hole.